Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later because before time began, there was the cube, and it seems like it's here today. Yes, up for consideration today, we have this rather handsome Chogokin Rubik's Cube Robo, which is an officially licensed product from Rubik's Cube and Bandai, and I think it looks kind of fun. I'm really excited to check it out. And again, I do want to stress that this is not a knockoff or an unofficial product of any kind. It is officially licensed from Rubik's Cube, and everybody knows Rubik's Cube, right? Like, it's such an iconic thing, but the idea of having one that transforms into a robot was just too much to resist. What can I say? Now, before we kick off, I do want to say that today's review is brought to you by TF Source. You can find a link to their site down in the description below, and you can check them out for all your Transformers needs. But hey, let's go ahead and get this guy open and see what it's all about. Hopefully not too complicated, like a real Rubik's Cube. I don't know about anybody watching, but I could never do Rubik's Cubes. I never quite had the grasp of them, but my wife was always pretty good at them, actually. The whole thing comes in this little clamshell case, which you can just unseal like so, and then out it pops. Wow, really heavy. You've then got this second clamshell as well underneath, which has got a little display stand inside, so that's pretty neat. And then, of course, you can just go ahead and pop it on, and there you go. Job's a good one. I think it looks really, really nice. I don't have a real Rubik's Cube around for comparison right now, but honestly, it looks very faithful. Other than the fact that it feels super heavy, you could absolutely think this was the real deal, which is very cool. You know, it's even got the little Rubik's logo on the one side here, so that's a neat touch. Finish looks really good all over as well. You've got metal all around the outsides here, and then these little coloured inlay sections, so that looks very smart. Colours are nicely saturated as well. I mean, I really love this blue. Honestly, the whole thing feels very premium, like a proper premium product. And as I say, it's got a definite heft to it as well. I swear you could absolutely bludgeon someone with this if you really needed to. I mean, it is quite the thing, honestly. Very, very heavy. The stand looks really neat too, with that little silver chrome Chogokin logo, so that's very nice. And honestly, the whole thing just makes a really great display piece. Like, I can absolutely imagine having this on a shelf somewhere. You know, people are not going to be aware that it's a transforming robot of any kind, so I think that's pretty fun. And the fact that it does feel quite premium as well means that it's like a step above just being like some novelty item or whatever. I mean, for me, there's something about this thing that really harkens back to like the days of microchange, you know, pre-Transformers, the old Takara Tomy line that became some of the Transformers anyway, like Soundwave and Megatron, and the whole thing was all about household objects just kind of sitting around that could transform into robots, you know, kind of one-to-one scale objects. And you get a little bit of that with the recent Takara Tomy Canon Optimus Prime crossover figure as well, and they look really good together. You know, obviously neither of these is microchange at all, but it has that vibe, you know? Or you could just go ahead and put it with one of your more regular Transformers as well, like Missing Link Convoy or whatever else you've got around the house, and that looks pretty fun too, doesn't it? So, you know, either way it works. I think in terms of comparisons with transforming robots though, the ones I've really wanted to see it alongside are these, which are a pair of transforming Coke cans. Yes, they transform into robots. They were a Burger King tie-in back in the day. I absolutely love them, and this just looks fabulous. Can't wait to see them in robot mode. I think perhaps it's time for me to back up my microchange comparison claims though, and here you can see them with two of the vintage toys from that era. You've got the Ready Cassette Robo, which of course went on to become Blaster under Transformers in a different colour scheme, and the Magnum Robo, which is a Smith & Wesson that was never actually used in Transformers. It was never carried over as a design. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like real world objects sat there that have the ability to transform into robots. You'd never know it. This is just fabulous. So it's a great display piece overall. I really like it for that. Someone will inevitably ask if you can do the, you know, the traditional Rubik's Cube puzzle with this thing, and alas, you cannot, because of course it transforms into a robot. So in terms of functionality, that's what it does. You know, you don't get the actual puzzle itself, which is a little bit of a shame, but of course I think it would be asking too much to expect it to do that as well. I don't think engineering on these kind of toys has got that crazy just yet, so I forgive it for that, personally. But we can go ahead and transform it, of course, and that all starts with twisting this back section like so, and that actually pops out these little bits on the sides just there. Then you want to come to those and actually pull them out manually like so. They just slide out. Same on this side, you can kind of catch it from the back just there and just slide it out gently until it clicks. And then interestingly, you want to slide this bit back. I really like that action actually, just the way it kind of clicks into place is super satisfying. That actually feels like a real Rubik's Cube, weirdly. Then you want to come around to the red side again and just take this whole section here and slide that down. Again, that is quite a tough action, but super satisfying. And then you've got these bits which kind of fold down manually like so. Same on this side, exactly the same. There we are. And you can probably tell where this is going because these are indeed going to become legs. Just fold them down. And then you want to rotate the whole leg around and just flip out the foot using that little tab that just comes down. Exact same thing on this side. Just rotate the leg round and flip out the foot. Now, if you come around to the front, you can see his little silver hands just in there. So you just kind of want to slide these bits down like so. Same on this side. There is a little bit of a trick to it, but there we go. Then we want to do the head, which interestingly enough is exactly where the Rubik's Cube logo is. So that's kind of cool. So first thing you want to do is fold this little chest panel forward. That's the front just there. And then that enables you to kind of slide the head forward slightly. And then this is a little bit fiddly, but just get your finger in there and kind of fold the head up. And then that just pulls forward, collapse the chest, and you're done. And there we are. He's in robot mode. And you know what? It looks really goofy. I'm sure that everyone's going to be into it, but I absolutely adore this thing. It's just, there's kind of a really silly charm to it that really appeals to me. And it does kind of look like what I imagine a Rubik's Cube transformer would look like. It's so silly, but it's fun, isn't it? You gotta love it. I mean, make no mistake, you could have told me that this thing was actually produced in the 1980s and I would have believed you, because it has that exact vibe going on. Like, even just the diecast, to be honest, is very of that time. But the look and the feel of it, the kind of slight lack of articulation going on, the proportions, the whole design, everything about it is just so 80s. I love it. Like, I've no doubt someone is going to look at this and be like, what the hell is that, right? Like, I totally get it. I totally appreciate that point of view. But at the same time, if they'd have made this thing like some super articulated, really dynamic action figure, whatever, I don't think it would have had the same appeal in a weird way. Like, it wouldn't have hit those kind of retro vibes. It wouldn't have had that vintage charm about it. And it really captures that. And you gotta love it for that, I think. I mean, firstly, what is that head sculpt about, right? Like, so silly with the kind of orange chromed visor and the weird mouth, and it's very, very retro. And I love the chrome on it. I love the colors. The little Rubik's Cube logo on the forehead crest is just the icing on the cake. It's so ridiculous, but very charming. And again, you just have to appreciate how shiny this thing really is. Like, it honestly looks really glorious up close. And you know, even just from a rear view, it honestly looks like a Rubik's Cube just got up and came to life somehow, you know, just like sprouted arms and legs and started walking off. It's so funny. Now, it's fair to say that if you look at this thing from the side or kind of go looking for it, then there are little holes and stuff in there as well. That really doesn't bother me, but just something to be aware of. Overall, though, it still feels super chunky, super nice to hold. Joints are really tight and clicky. It's a robust thing, man. It does have some articulation going on as well. I mean, the head can move from side to side and can kind of look down as well. I mean, he can look down at his own chest, let's put it that way, but it's something. Now, the arms are on ratchet joints, so they will move at 45-degree increments like so, and that, again, has a very kind of vintage quality to it in its way. And you can move the legs up like so, and then fold the knees, and there's a bit, I guess that's a bit of thigh rotation, I guess. I mean, all of it's there really for transformation, but still, it's something at least. I mean, look, it's not exactly what I would call posable, but you know, it can do a pretty convincing kneel, to be fair. And honestly, this is not why you buy a product like this, right? Like, to be super posable. It's not an action figure of any kind. It's still a lot of fun to handle, I think. I mean, you can still get him in a couple of poses, and honestly, I think he looks great. I love the way the light catches this thing as well, right? Like, it really bounces off. It's very reflective. It's super nice. Now, there is a bit of a gimmick as well, a bit of an action feature, because there's a little button just here under his chest, and if you press that, then he's got a firing missile for this front cube, which is so silly, but I adore that. Otherwise, you can make more use of the stand by folding down these little side pieces like so, and then that enables it to become a display stand for the robot mode as well. And I gotta tell you, he's not the most stable in there. Like, he's got a definite bit of wobble to him, but still, it works well enough, I suppose, and could be an option for display if indeed you really want it. Alternatively, the instructions are very proud to announce that if you slightly fold up his arms and legs like so, then you can sit him down on the display stand like some sort of weird baby, or like E-Honda or something. I don't know what this is about, but hey, that is another option if you actually need such a thing. Anyway, in terms of comparisons, here you can see him with the same Canon Optimus Prime, or Convoy if you prefer, that we looked at earlier. And again, they're very different toys, like not really meant to be seen alongside one another at all, but they do kind of give me that same real world object turned into robot vibe, and you know, they're both a lot of fun. Alternatively, here he is with my beloved missing link Convoy, and you know, you could kind of imagine him as some sort of Autobot warrior that's joined up with Optimus's forces, and I don't know, it's not that ridiculous, is it? Could be a bit of a laugh. And then of course you have him with those wonderful Coke can robots, and honestly, this is the comparison that I was most excited about. These things have been a bit of a jewel of my collection for many years now. I mean, they're not exactly super rare or anything like that, but I absolutely adore them. And this is so much fun. Like, give me any common object that transforms into a robot like this, and I'm probably going to enjoy it, it's fair to say. And finally, to seal the deal on the comparisons, here are those two classic micro-change bots that we looked at earlier. So you've got the Radicassette Robo and the Magnum Robo as well. And these two things are glorious. Total pride of my collection, as I say. I love having both of these. And this new Rubik's Cube Robo, it may be a new thing, but spiritually it fits in surprisingly well alongside them, in my opinion. So it's just a bit of a joy. So there we go. You know, overall, I'm totally blown away. I thought this thing was going to be a lot of fun, but I didn't have much expectation beyond that, I guess. And actually the presentation of it, the engineering involved, it's all surpassed what I thought it was going to be. Like, it's a very beautifully presented product, it looks great, it handles nice, it's super fun. What's not to love? I mean, for me, it's a total unadulterated toot. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this review is brought to you by TF Source, so you will find a link to their site in the description below, and you can go ahead and check them out for your Transformers needs. I'd also be very grateful if you could leave me a like for today's effort, please, but otherwise, that's it from me. So have a great rest of your day, and TTFN.